Today we will be doing the volume of cones. So let's go ahead and look at our cone shape right here. Looks like an ice cream cone. Now we were looking at a height of 3 and a radius of 2. So let's go ahead and expand. Now we're going to continue shading the base so that we see what shape our base is. And if we look at the base of our cone only has one base. It's not like the cylinder that has 2 bases, one on top and one on bottom. Our cone only has one, okay? Now when we look at the base, it is in the shape of a circle. So we once again need to find the area of the base, and we know that that's what capital B stands for. So we need to find the area of the circle. So we start with the formula, pi r squared. Now instead of pi, we're going to write 3.14 times our radius. In this case, the radius is 2, and that's squared. And when we plug this into our calculator, we get that it's 12.56. So far the procedure is pretty much the same for cylinder. We identify the height. The height in this case is 3, again. So now that we have capital B and we have the height, we're ready to go ahead and find the volume. Now here's where the difference comes in. The formula for a cone is a little bit different. It has a 1/3 in there, because the cone is 1/3 of the cylinder. If you pour water on a cone and you put it back on the cylinder, it's going to take 3 cones to fill up the cylinder. So that's where we get the 1/3. So just make sure that you remember that when you are working and when you have to plug in the formula for a cone is a little bit different. It has the 1/3 in there. So now we are good to go ahead and replace our variables. 1/3 instead of capital B. We know that that was area of the base, so that's 12.56. And the height is 3. Okay. Now, once we put all that in the calculator, and you can use your fraction functions, alpha y equals 1/3 times 12.56 times 3. And we get 12.56. And it is volume, so that'll be units cubed. Okay. So let's go ahead and go over a couple more examples. Here we go. Example 1. So the first thing that I'm going to identify is the formula, 1/3 capital BH. Now I have to make sure that I can identify what I need in order to solve the problem. So capital B, remember that that is area of the base. My base is a circle. So that means I need to use the formula for area of a circle, which is pi r squared. Instead of pi, I'm going to write 3.14 times, and I have to check that they give me the radius, and they do. So that's times 15 squared. And that gives me 706.5. So that's the area of my base. Now I need to identify my height, which is a 27. And now I can go back and plug into my volume formula, which, remember, it is 1/3 area of the base times height. So 1/3 times 706.5 times 27. So 1/3 times 706.5 times 27. Here we go, 6,358.5. And that is inches cubed. Let's go ahead and look at example 2. Now remember that when we have a word problem with shapes, we have to draw the shape. So a funnel, so that's a cone, has a diameter of 9 inches and it's 16 inches tall. A plug is put at the end of the funnel. What is the volume of the cone to the nearest tenth? So it has a diameter of 9. Remember that diameter goes all the way through. And is 16 inches tall. Okay, so let's first start with our volume formula. 1/3 times area of the base times height. So I know that I need to find area of the base and the height. I'm going to shade in my base here to know that that's a circle, which means I need the formula for area of a circle, which is pi r squared. However, they gave me diameter. They did not give me radius, so you cannot use that 9. So if you remember back to our other notes, if they give me diameter, you divide by 2 to get the radius. So you need to do 9 divided by 2, and it's 4.5. So this is the diameter, 4.5 is the radius. So make sure that you're writing that down so that I know that you went through that step. Now we can go ahead and put in numbers for our variables. Instead of pi, we put 3.14 times, and the radius, which you found, which was 4.5, squared. 3.14 times 4.5 squared. Now since we have a lot of decimal values, let's go ahead and just round to the 10th. So the 10th is the 5. I have an 8 next to it. That means that this 5 goes to 6. So 63.6. Our height, they give to us, it's 16. So now we are good to plug in all of our values for our volume formula. So 1/3 times 63.6 times 16. One-third times the area of the base times the height, 339.2. That is inches cubed. Okay, we have 2 more examples to go over. For composite shapes. So composite shapes, that means that there's 2 shapes making up one bigger one. I can identify a cone here, and I can identify a cylinder here. So in order to find the volume of the entire shape, I need to find the volume of the cone, the volume of the cylinder, and then add the 2 volumes. So let's go ahead and find the volume of the cone. We know that a volume of the cone is 1/3 area of the base times height. So you need to find area of the base and height. Let's look at my base here. And I know that it's a circle. So I know that I'm going to use the formula for area of a circle. I can go ahead and put in my values. 3.14 times, and let's look at the radius. I don't see any information here, but they do give me the radius down here, and these 2 circles are the same. So this is the radius. Times 15 squared. So 3.14 times 15 squared. 706.5. Now I'm going to look at the height of the cone. Remember, we're not looking at the cylinder, we're just looking at the cone. And my height is 21. So now I can plug into my volume formula. 1/3 area of the base, which is 706.5 times 21, which is the height. Times area of the base times the height. 4,945.5. So that is the area of the cone. Now we still need to find the area of a cylinder, the volume of the cylinder. So the formula for volume of a cylinder is just area of the base times height. So we need to identify the area of the base, and we need to identify the height. I'm going to look at the base and see that it's a circle. So I'll continue using the formula for area of a circle. .14 times, and look at the radius. We're still using the 15 since both shapes share that same circle. So it is 706.5. Now when I look for the height, I'm only going to look at the cylinder. You're not going to look at the cone. You're going to look at the cylinder